Ladies and gentlemen, let's kindly rise and welcome the Chancellor's procession. Let's kindly rise and welcome the Chancellor's procession. We'll take the opening prayer. Reverend Dr. Patrick Kwame will do us the honors.
We are praying. We begin in the name of God the Father, of the Son, of the Holy Spirit. Gracious God, we thank you for yesterday's lecture. We thank you for the continent of Africa, the nation Ghana, the Central Region, and Cape Coast. We thank you for the founder, leadership, and management of the University of Cape Coast. And we thank you for the lives of all staff, students, and all stakeholders of the university. We commit this day into your hands, that is today's lecture and the special congregation. We ask that, Father, may you make everything beautiful to your glory, and we thank you for an answered prayer. This we pray in the name of Christ Jesus our Lord, with thanksgiving. Amen.
We'll remain standing as we sing the national anthem. Take your seats. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the second session of the 14th Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lectures, which would also witness a special congregation today. The general theme for the 14th Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lectures is Imperialism, Colonialism, and Neocolonialism, the three axes of evil for Africa. This morning, however, our guest lecturer, Her Excellency Ambassador Arikana Shihomborikau, will be speaking on the topic, African Youth Rising, the Revolution Has Begun. My name is Akosia Chiabiasaki. I'm pleased to be your MC. Ladies and gentlemen, I once again have the greatest honor to introduce to you the chairman for today's event. He is a well-celebrated, astute businessman with great experience. He has a long-standing, healthy relationship.
Thank you very much.
It's not going to be a long one. Well, let's welcome our Chancellor, Dr. Sesam Isonjona.
Vice Chancellor, Nananom, our Pro-Vice Chancellor, our Acting Registrar, Nana Kwekwenu, the third, my Rehene of Ogwa Traditional Area, Nananom, members of convocation, staff, students, and alumni of this great university, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor, indeed a privilege, as the Chancellor of this esteemed university, to welcome all of you once again to this thought-provoking lecture series dedicated to the life and legacy of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, a truly remarkable African leader. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's first president, was not just a statesman, as we all know. He was a beacon of honesty, visionary leadership, and transparency. His steadfast commitment to African unity and the fight against neocolonialism and imperialism remains an inspiration. He embodied the values of discipline and frugality with a well-acknowledged, profound disdain for materialism and excess, qualities that resonate deeply in today's leadership landscape. Yesterday, our distinguished speaker, Ambassador Rekana Chihombori Kwao, delivered a compelling tribute to Osagyefo's memory. Her lecture brought to mind the impactful presentation given last year by Professor Emmanuel Champon on the 19th of October last year, who delved into the multifaceted persona of Nkrumah, including the influence of his experiences in America, the role of religiosity in his life, and his complex relationships with women, amongst other dimensions. Ambassador Chihombori Kwao's captivating lecture is neocolonialism, which involves the indirect control and exploitation of less developed countries by developed countries and multinational corporations. While it's important for African nations to maintain economic and cultural relations with their former colonial powers and other developed countries, we must ensure that these relationships don't lead to indirect colonial rule. Let us embrace the enlightenment that today's lecture will surely bring as we honor Kwame Nkrumah's legacy. I wish to end my welcome address by reminding you that the speaker will reciprocate the honor done to us by the speaker. We will reciprocate the honor done to us by conferring a very well-deserved honorary degree on her today. So please stay with us as we honor our distinguished speaker. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our Chancellor. We shall rise and sing the UCC anthem. Thank you very much. Kindly take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, I would invite our Vice Chancellor, Professor Johnson Yakubu, to give the welcome address. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Thank you for the opportunity. Respected Dr. Sir Sam Jonah, the Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, members of the University Council, Professor Rosemond Abuadu Abohin, Pro-Vice Chancellor, UCC, Mr. Ebenezer Agri, Acting Registrar, Nana Kokwe Enu, the third Maria of Ogwa Traditional Area, Her Excellency Ambassador Erikana Chihombori Akwao, Speaker for the 14th Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lecture Series, former Vice Chancellors present, former Pro-Vice Chancellors present, Provosts, Deans, Heads of Department and Heads of Administrative Units, Directors of Academic and Administrative Units, College Registrars and Finance Officers, Nananom, Members of Convocation, distinguished invited guests, Alumni of the University of Cape Coast, friends from the media, staff and students, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Governing Council, management, staff and students of the university, I wish to add my voice to that of our Chancellor to welcome you to the second day of the 14th series of the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lecture of the University of Cape Coast. We appreciate your presence with us today. Instituted in the year 1994 by the University of Cape Coast, the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lecture was dedicated to the memory of the late first president of the Republic of Ghana, Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, for his vision in establishing this university and also for spearheading the cause of Pan-Africanism in particular and the progress of the black race globally. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was of the view that education should serve as the catalyst for development. To him, education should be of critical importance if Ghana, and for that matter Africa, was to achieve her desired objective and unleash her potential. To this end, the University of Cape Coast was founded to play a key role in the development of our nation. The university in the early days of her establishment had a number of people of African descent and willing to share in the knowledge and intellectual activity it offered. But this, the University of Cape Coast wants to re-echo the dreams of the founding fathers and to remind all of us of the centrality of our role in Ghana and Africa's development. A forum such as this reveals the highest possible level of scholarship and enshrine in the topmost ranked university in Ghana, that is the University of Cape Coast. Therefore, by this lecture series, we also wish to bring to bear the quality for education this citadel of learning has to offer, and has been offering since its inception as a university college in 1962. These lecture series are based on Pan-Africanist agenda that Kwame Nkrumah advocated for throughout his political career. Nkrumah's vision of Pan-Africanism seeks to define a common ground for all Africans wherever they may be. Sir Chancellor and Chair, the lecture series is therefore our way of paying tribute to this man. His vision, his nationalism, his distinctive service to African globalism, a globalism based on freedom and justice. At this lecture series, the university calls on people of diverse academic persuasions, both from within and outside the country, to think with her in an extended fashion about a relevant theme under the guidance of a carefully selected personality of demonstrable achievement and ability. This allows us to identify and fully appraise a contingent and contemporary themes for our benefit. Sir Chancellor and Chair, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, since the institution of this lecture series, distinguished personalities from and within the country have been invited to deliver thought-provoking lectures on different themes. The first presentation of the lecture series was delivered in 1976 by Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who was then the Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria, Nigeria. His topic was the problems of Africa, the need for archaeological reappraisal. Since then, we have had a number of great intellectuals, scholars, scientists, diplomats, and philosophers, both from within and outside the country, deliver thought-provoking lectures on different themes. Sir Chancellor and Chairman of the ceremony, the 13th series was delivered by Professor Emmanuel Echampong on the theme Diaspora, Pan-Africanism, and Spiritual Awakening, Nkrumah's Years Abroad and as Head of State. Today, we are privileged to have Her Excellency, Ambassador Arikana Chihombori Kwao, the former permanent representative of the African Union to the United States, to give us the 14th lecture on the theme Imperialism, Colonialism, and Neocolonialism, the three axes of evil for Africa. The speaker took us through the theme Imperialism, Colonialism, and Neocolonialism, which was delivered yesterday. The topic for this morning's lecture is African Youth. The revolution has begun. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you are welcome and enjoy the lecture. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Johnson Yakubu. It is time for us to listen to our guest speaker, who would be speaking to us this morning on the topic, African Youth Rising, the Revolution Has Begun. Let's welcome Her Excellency, Ambassador Arikana Chihombori Kwao.
A very good morning to all of you. To the Chancellor of this amazing university, to the Vice Chancellor, to the faculty, to the alumni, to the chiefs, the majesties in our presence, to the diplomats within our midst, and of course to you, our students, our youth, our future. Thank you for having me. As I was getting ready for today's lecture, I came across a quotation from the man we are honoring today, His Excellency Kwame Nkrumah. He said, "A state in the grip of neo-colonialism is not master of its own destiny. It is this factor which makes neo-colonialism such a serious threat to world peace." Following him, there was Marcus Garvey prior to him. He said, "A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots." Jomo Kenyatta also reminded us that when the missionaries arrived in Africa, the Africans had the land and the missionaries had the Bible. They taught us how to pray with our eyes closed. When we opened our eyes, they had the land and we had the Bible. Finally, Patrice Lumumba said, "The day will come when history will speak. Africa will write its own history. It will be a history of glory and dignity." Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment. It was 3:10 a.m. as I was fast asleep in my bed in Tennessee when my phone rang. On the other end, there was a woman by the name of Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. She was the then chairman of the African Union. She proceeded to inform me that the then ambassador to the United States, the African Union ambassador to the United States, had just turned in her resignation and that she was going to be running for president of her country. A wonderful thing indeed. What was surprising, however, was that she wanted me to be the next African Union ambassador to the United States. Keep in mind, I am 1,000% scientist with zero experience or knowledge of diplomacy or even politics. I left Zimbabwe as a teenager to go to the university in the United States, had a degree in general chemistry, a master's in organic chemistry, went on straight to medical school, did a residency in general surgery and another one in family medicine, and went on straight to practice medicine for 25 years. Nothing to do with diplomacy in any way, shape, or form. So to my surprise, I said, Madam Chair, why on earth would you want somebody like myself to go to Washington, D.C. and be an ambassador? She said, well, look at me. I'm a pediatrician. I said, but you went to South Africa. You took positions that took you through the ranks of where you are now. I have no experience and you just want to throw me into the wolves. She said, no, we're tired of getting our rear ends kicked and we need somebody who understands the Americans. I said, I do understand the, you think so? She said, yes, you do. It took me 6 months of back and forth with her until finally I said, you know what? The joke is on you. I'm going to go to Washington. I'm going to have fun. I had not taken sabbatical since coming to the United States. I'm going to drink tea and be wined and dined, and after 6 months, I'm going to look at her and say, Madam, I tried, but I couldn't do it. So that was the plan. I actually did not look for an apartment. I stayed in a hotel for 5 months. I would go into the meetings and I would sit and I would be laughing at myself to say, what on earth are you doing in Washington, D.C., pretending to be a diplomat? What I ended up doing is sitting in the meeting rooms, and as a medical doctor, naturally, I'm making diagnosis. Oh, you got a goiter, I need to see you. Oh, you got bipolar, I got a pill for you. I'm making diagnosis of the congressmen and other politicians and ambassadors that were in the room, because I did not think I could contribute to anything that was really going on. But from time to time, a comment would be made that would make me wake up and say, did I just hear that? Was that not an insult to us? Did that individual actually just abuse us? And I'm in the room with seasoned ambassadors. Ambassadors with years of experience. I'm waiting for one of them to say something. To my surprise, nothing was said. So the first month, I'm the new kid on the block. I'm just a medical doctor here. I just don't know what's going on here. I'm watching and I'm listening. And slowly I begin to realize there was something wrong going on. Why is it that we are not speaking up as ambassadors? We are here to represent 1.4 billion people who need our voices. Why are we mute? Well, you know, having been born and raised in Zimbabwe during apartheid, we fought. I was a young teenager when I saw many of my colleagues leave and join the revolution, and many died. So when it comes to fighting, I was prepared. I got to where I got so sick and tired of attending these meetings because I was sick and tired of the abuse. I attended meetings on the African continent, and the abuse continued, and the mutinous from us also continued, until one day I said, enough is enough. I'm an African woman, and I have been given a platform, and I have a mandate. I shall exercise my mandate. You see, as a medical doctor, every day you're faced with people that come to you. Sometimes patients understand what's wrong with them. Sometimes they don't. We have a responsibility to help people figure out what's going on with them, organize their lives, make a diagnosis, give it a name, and help them deal with it. And in my stay in Washington, D.C., early on, I made a diagnosis that which was ailing was our ignorance and understanding of what was really going on, our fear of those who don't look like us, and the fact that we have been lied to, we have been miseducated, we have been misinformed. That had to change. So it is, I sought out to execute my mandate, which included, in addition to engaging the US government, it also included mobilizing the African diaspora to participate in the development of Africa. How could the diaspora participate in the development of Africa if they are ignorant about what is happening in Africa? So I started speaking to them. I summarized it in a very simple matter. That we have a responsibility to finish the unfinished business that was started by our Pan-African fathers back in 1963 when they met in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Sadly, when our ancestors, our Pan-African fathers went to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, they were divided. We had the Casablanca group, which was led by Kwame Nkrumah. It was Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Egypt, Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia. were the Casablanca group that said Africa for the Africans and African Union now. They wanted change. They understood the importance of unity. They knew for Africa to move forward, Africa must speak with one voice. They demanded an Africa with one customs union, an Africa with one central bank, an Africa with one military, an Africa that was truly integrated, because it is only that Africa that's going to deliver true African liberation economically, politically, and otherwise. Failure to accomplish that is a defeat for the African people. There were only 7. The majority were the Monrovia group. There were 35. They said, let's kind of hold off on this unity thing. You see, they had tasted a little bit of this superficial, fake independence. Let's kind of go slow. 2024, we're still going slow. The Monrovia group were the majority, they won. We often say, Africa lost in 1963 when the Casablanca group succeeded at thwarting that which the Casablanca wanted. The Monrovia group failed us. Year in, year out, the African leaders would meet. The issue of an Africa that spoke with one voice was tabled, and year in and year out, NATO nations were in full force to see to it that the African leaders do not vote for an Africa that spoke with one voice. Not only is they remain in full force to make sure that Africa never gets to be united. We have failed Africa. Our leadership has failed Africa. Allow me to describe what I call the African tree of life. A tree of life that once upon a time thriving, it gave the most luscious fruits, beautiful flowers. A tree that everybody counted on, a tree that fed the African people. Something happened. The flowers don't bloom as beautiful as they used to be. The branches keep falling off. The leaves are never as green and luscious as they should be. So they, through the media, mainstream media, through the NGOs who come in sheep's clothing, we know they are wolves. Through the embassies throughout Africa, they have made you believe that it's your problem. See, these fruits are not doing like they should. It's because it's your problem. Focus on the fruits. Focus on the leaves. Focus on the branches. They don't want you to focus on the root. You see, if you don't address the issues of the root, you will forever be talking about the flowers, the branches, and the leaves of this tree, year in and year out. And that's what we have been taught to believe. On top of that, while they continue to lie to us, while they continue to throw us a shiny object and want us to focus on frivolous things that do not address the root, don't forget, the biggest defeat was the mind. Where they made us believe that white was bad, black is bad, you are like the devil, you represent the devil, your color is bad, and you must denounce even yourself. And when you're not denouncing yourself, you must praise them. Even though we know very well that their skin is a mutation of the original, which is you. The original DNA. Anybody else that does not look black is a mutation of the original thing. They made you forget that. They made you forget that. So you see, they set the stage. They've been lying to us for years, for centuries. They even taught you to hate yourself. So let's go to the bottom, to the root of why the African tree is ailing. They started with the mind. And until you realize that as a black person, you're suffering from the legacy of colonization, until you realize as a black person, you're suffering from the legacy of slavery, nothing, and I mean nothing you do is going and feathers of humanity. One who must stand on top of the tallest mountain and proclaim to the world who you are. Why are you failing to do so? Because you've been put asleep. You have been lied to. And it is only you who can make that change. It is only you who can look in the mirror and say, I am beautiful. I am the mother of humanity. I am the father of humanity. What will it take, my brothers and sisters, for you to understand that basic fact? And until you do, your ability to change Africa is going to fail. Tell me why. That we are all very much aware that the World Bank and IMF are using the rating agencies. I'm now talking about the issues of the root. They are using rating agencies to label African governments and give them poor ratings so the World Bank can justify giving frivolous interest rates to African governments. Today, as we speak, the average African country is paying way over 50% of their GDP on loan repayments to the World Bank. Loans that we all know very well, they have been paid a gazillion times over. And yet, twice a year, our ministers of finance, they go to Washington to attend the World Bank meetings. They say nothing. They know this is happening. Mr. Minister, Honorable Minister, what on earth are you doing? All of you collectively, why can't you go to the World Bank and say, enough is enough, we're no longer paying for these loans? And you know why they're not doing it? They're scared. They're scared for those who don't look like them. They know the truth, but they just can't speak up. It goes back to the mind. Let's take another issue of the root. And all of it you will find that what underscores our inability to deal with these issues, it goes back to the mind. I'm going to keep underscoring the mind, because all we gotta do is stand up. As we speak, the remains of our ancestors are sitting in jars, in basements throughout Europe. Why is it that our ministers of culture, they continue to go to Europe, they visit with these governments, when they are sitting in those meeting rooms, in those basements, the remains of your ancestors are sitting in jars and you say nothing? What is wrong with this picture? What is wrong with us Africans? How long do you think a finger of a British soldier lost in Ghana? Not even a minute. They would storm into Ghana, kill thousands of people just to recover that little finger. But when it comes to us, it's okay, Massa. How long? Why are these ministers not able to speak up? Why are these ministers saying, no, when you invite us to France, when you invite us to Britain, when you invite us to all those former colonies that are hiding our artifacts which they stole, that are hiding the remains of our ancestors, we are not coming until this wrong is righted, plain and simple. do it? It goes back to the mind. We're still talking about the issues of the root. Have you ever wondered, when we go to the World Trade Organization, we know Ghana, the best cocoa in the world, comes from West Africa. It's only the past few years that Ghana was allowed to add value to the cocoa. Prior to that, if Ghana had said we wanted to add value to our own cocoa products, tariffs would be slapped on those value-added products that it wasn't even worth the value addition. What are our ministers of trade doing about that? The World Trade Organization, an organization that's giving a blind eye to the biggest abuses of the African continent. Ghana cocoa is being mislabeled. Tell me, you travel throughout Europe, every hotel you go to is Swiss cocoa, Swiss chocolate, Swiss this, Swiss that. Show me 1 acre of cocoa in Switzerland. And yet nobody says anything about it. I kind of like the Nigerian guy who walked into a museum in Britain. There was a humongous bronze statue that was in the entrance. And the man brought his tools. I don't know if some of you heard about him. He brought his tools into the museum and he started unscrewing the statue. And when they came to say, what are you doing? He says, this is mine, it's stolen product. I am from Benin. This is Benin bronze. It belongs to me. He created a scene, but he made a point. Because he said, if my ministers cannot do it, I will. Are we stupid or what? As I say some of these things, it's almost like it's a joke. It's like it's a cartoon movie. It's a comedy show. But unfortunately, this is our reality. Why is it that we are not capable of fighting back? East Africa, the best teas, products out of Africa are taken into Europe and relabeled, and we know it. When I was in Washington, I would talk to my colleagues. I made a lot of friends. I said, but why do you abuse the Africans like this? I attended a conference where they had journalists from all the major medias. And I asked the question, I said, why do you report lies about Africa? Why do you tell falsehoods? And one journalist from CNN said it very nicely. He said, Ambassador, we say it because nobody challenges us. It's that simple, my brothers and sisters. We say it because nobody challenges us. And he said, if somebody challenged us, we would stop. But you Africans don't. You tell me, why is it that we are here in Ghana, there is a military base here that American soldiers can walk in, no passport, no ID, they walk right through. If they commit crimes, they rape women, they kill women, no policeman in Ghana can touch them. Why? Where is the Ghanaian military base in the United States? Where is the French military base? Where is the Burkina Faso military base in France? Where is the Nigerian military base in Russia? Every superpower is building bases throughout Africa. Where are the African military bases in those countries? I like Nigeria, you know. Nigeria said when the US government increased their visa to $250 to get a visa to go to the United States, Nigeria said, no worries, you also have to pay $250 if your people want a visa. But turn around and go to Namibia. I was shocked. Namibians pay about $170 to get a visa to go to the United States, but Americans, when they go to Namibia, nothing, zero, not a penny. Just come. Now guys, let's have a serious conversation here. Who is stupid? Whose problem is it? We are the problem. What is leadership doing? Leadership is doing nothing. Leadership is voting on sheer stupidity. Stupidity that is causing us havoc. The same people who are abusing us, taking advantage of us, exploiting us, they are laughing at us because we are jokers. What are we doing in our parliaments? And that is why you see what's happening in Burkina Faso, what's happening in Niger, what's happening in Mali. The youth are saying, now we know. Now our eyes are open. Now we know who the real problem is. Yes, we know the enemy as the former colonizers. We know the enemy as the multinationals who are in our countries, siphoning as much as they can. Yes, we know the NGOs are nothing but wolf in sheep's clothing. Yes, we know some of the embassies are no good. They are there to make sure that the instability in our countries continue. We know all that. However, we also know that our leaders could stop it. So yes, it is that the youth are rising. The youth are saying, you leaders, if you do not do the right thing, we will replace you. So we need more Traores in Africa. What's happening in Burkina Faso must be supported. What's happening in Niger must be supported. What's happening in Mali must be supported. The youth of Africa are sick and tired of being sick and tired. The issues of the root must be addressed. World Bank must stop giving us frivolous loans. World Bank must treat Africa fairly. Ours is a simple ask. We are simply saying to the world, we demand Africa that can be treated fairly, an Africa that can be treated as equals on the world stage, an Africa that is free of racism, bigotry, and hate. Our ask is a simple one. Our position is of stating the facts, stating the truth, constants that do not change. We're simply asking that the world does unto us what they would want done unto them. Anybody that has an issue that Africa has taken is somebody who is anti-earth. We want a peaceful world. We want a world that is just. And that is all we are asking. That is all our children are asking. Our children are saying we're tired of watching our uranium power 2/3 of France while they call us a dark continent. Our children are saying we're sick and tired of seeing our mineral wealth fund Western education while we don't have quality education in Africa. Our children are saying we're sick and tired of seeing our natural resources fund healthcare in the Western world while we don't have access to that Western world. So it is the revolution that has been proclaimed, the revolution the likes of Kwame Nkrumah and others had hoped for. While it may have taken us years to get where we are, the unfinished business that our Pan-African fathers started back in 1963 must be completed, and our youth in Africa are acutely aware of that. The leadership that is not awakening, the leadership that doesn't understand that imperialism no longer has room in Africa, neocolonialism no longer has room in Africa, colonization no longer has room in Africa, exploitation of Africa can no longer continue. A leader who doesn't understand that is a leader whose days are numbered. The African youth are not taking it anymore. The African youth are awakened, their eyes are open, and they're saying, you either stand up and defend what belongs to us, or we will replace you, plain and simple. The unfinished business that our Pan-African fathers, the unfinished business that Kwame Nkrumah and many others started, it must be completed, it must be finished. You and I, we have a responsibility. Youth, make us accountable as your elders. Make your leadership accountable. If your leadership is not accountable, replace them. I thank you.
We can do it better for Her Excellency. Thank you very much. Let's kindly assume our seats. I would welcome our chair to give his closing remarks for this second session of the 14th Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lectures.
I can't find the words to describe the experience we've had over the last 2 days. The most enthralling experience, the very best in erudition, by a speaker who has a high, well-earned reputation for speaking truth to power, well known for her wit, for her wisdom, and of course for her courage. Yesterday, you recall, I said this was a profile in courage. She has challenged all of us to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves whether we are happy with the African condition. I'm sure I speak to all of us, on behalf of all of us, when I say we are not happy with the African condition. It is not enough to blame our political leaders, past and present. All of us are complicit. And as I said yesterday when I spoke at Morgan State University in the commencement, I did say, mea culpa, my generation has let Africa down. It is something that I proudly and with all great humility repeat here. Our generation has let Africa down. I'm delighted that we have here, and we had yesterday also, a large representation of the youth. The baton has been passed on to you. We have not served you well, but I pray that when it is your time to stay here and speak to the next generation, you would also not say your generation has let you down, has let Africa down. We've had, in the most stirring manner possible, a clarion call to action. Ladies and gentlemen, let us live here today, reinforced in our belief that this continent, which is the mother continent, deserves more, deserves better, and that each and every one of us, in our personal and collective responsibilities, will do all we can to change the narrative. Let's not deceive ourselves. The forces that are ranged against us are menacing, but we cannot allow them to prevail. So I live here totally reassured that these thought-provoking sessions we've had over the last 2 years have stirred all of us that this university, the University of Competitive Choice, will lead the battle to ensure that there's a mindset change in the generations who we are molding to take over the annals of the continent, the history of the continent. Yeah. As our distinguished speaker said, the signs are not too discouraging. Everywhere on the continent, there's a rising trend. The youth will not take it. Those days are over, we would like to believe. We see actions in Burkina Faso, we see actions in Kenya, we see actions in Nigeria, we see actions everywhere. As I said, the forces that are ranged against us are menacing. But I have no doubt at all, with the mindset change, which must start with the youth now, Africa will prevail. I went to South Korea as a guest of the president of South Korea 2 years ago. And I left there humbled. I left there sad, didn't I? South Korea has no natural resources. Even the sand that they use for construction is imported from China. All South Korea has is the human capital. You can say the same thing for Singapore. When they were thrown out by Malaysia, even today, they still have to import their water from Malaysia. And look at what leadership has done to Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, we have no excuse. We have no excuse. So I pray that we will not need another Yasantua in Arikana to come and stir it up to action. Enough is enough. The deficit of leadership at every level in our society in Africa, the small-mindedness, the inability to see the big picture. I hope and pray that this will be a thing of the past, but we must start acknowledging that we have messed up. If we don't acknowledge that we've messed up, we will not make progress. So on behalf of my generation, I'm telling all of you at the back there, we have messed you up. But don't walk on our graves. Don't repeat the mistakes we made. We've come under all sorts of influences. And if you have to rewrite the narrative, this is not what we will present to you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you thought I could make the speech, you would have asked me to be the speaker. Mercifully, you asked me to be the kind of chairman. So I'll not be a typical Ghanaian chairman who would attempt to summarize what the speaker has said. I'm just charged with emotion because when I travel around, I come back. I went to Dubai first time. When I was coming back at the airport, I said, my God, what leadership can produce. What leadership can produce. We are all waiting with bated breath to see what leadership, certainly the next generation of leadership, can produce. This is the silly season of politics, and therefore every day we'll be talking about manifestos. Manifestos are not visions. You must have the vision first before you can have a manifesto which will summarize what you want to do to achieve the vision. So this is a silly season of politics. When the leaders come to ask for your vote, those of you who are going to be first-time voters, ask them what their vision is for this country and what their vision is for Africa. Recently, I traveled to an African country which will remain nameless. This country has oil. This country has the best forest. This country has everything. I asked how many barrels of oil the country produces. I was told by the Prime Minister that only the President knows the figure. And I'm not saying this in jest, I'm telling you a fact. Ladies and gentlemen, let me go back to the script which has been presented. I don't want to be denied a visa, so let me read. Ladies and gentlemen, it says, I'm reading what has been written for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe you enjoyed the lecture, which was nothing short of engrossing by our astute and eloquent speaker. This is the version I'm supposed to speak. As mentioned earlier today, the university is set to confer an honorary degree on our esteemed speaker in line with our long-standing tradition. The selection of speakers for this series is meticulously done by the Governing Council to ensure that they are individuals who have made significant contributions to Africa, the global community, and humanity as a whole, thus meriting our esteemed honorary degree. In this regard, today's speaker, Ambassador Arikana Chihombiori Kwao, is undoubtedly a very fitting recipient, and I'm sure you would all agree. So, this is the bit that I like. You think I don't like power? I love power. So, on this note, by the powers vested in me as your Chancellor, I constitute this assembly into a special congregation for the purpose of conferment on the degree of Doctor of Letters, honoris causa, on our ambassador, our distinguished speaker, Arekana Chin Humbori Kwao. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sir Chancellor. Pretty shortly, the Vice Chancellor will deliver his address ahead of the conferment of the degree. Before that, I would invite the Department of Music to give us a brief interlude. Thank you, the Department of Music, UCC. Let's welcome the Vice Chancellor, Professor Johnson Yakubu, to deliver his address.
Respected Dr. Sir Sam Jonah, Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, members of the University Council, Professor Rosemond Abuadu-Abohin, Pro-Vice Chancellor, UCC, Mr. Ebenezer Agri, Acting Registrar, UCC, Nana Kweku Enu III, Manrehin of Ogwa Traditional Area, Her Excellency Ambassador Arekana Chihombori Kwao, Speaker for the 14th Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lecture Series, former Vice Chancellors, UCC, former Pro-Vice Chancellors, Provosts, Deans, Directors of Academic and Administrative Units, Heads of Department and Heads of Administrative Units, College Registrars and Finance Officers here present, Nananom, members of convocation, distinguished invited guests, alumni of the University of Cape Coast, friends from the media, staff and students, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I guess we are in the afternoon. It is an established tradition in the University of Cape Coast that the speaker for the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lecture is awarded honorary degree after the lecture. Sir Chancellor, the conferment of honorary degrees to distinguished individuals who have contributed significantly to the well-being of society is not new. This rich tradition has a long history spanning over 500 years. Honorary degrees are conferred on individuals whose lives and achievements serve as examples not only to the awarding institution but to the society at large. Sir Chancellor, the recipient of such an award should also have contributed significantly to the cultural, scientific, educational, and social development of his or her society. Individuals who receive such award should have a sustained remarkable reputation which extends beyond the boundaries of the recipient's immediate environment. Sir Chancellor, consistent with global best practices, I'm happy to inform you and all herein gathered that the management of the University of Cape Coast, on behalf of its academic and social community, finds Her Excellency Ambassador Arikana Chihombori Kwao more qualified by these parameters to receive the degree of Doctor of Letters, honorary causa. Sir Chancellor, I wish to draw your attention to the fact that the University of Cape Coast's mandate in the collective wisdom of the founders in the 1960s was to champion the training of the country's teaching workforce. Although with the passage of time and in response to the global trends, we have expanded our programs to accommodate other disciplines. We are still committed to our traditional core mandates, teaching, research, and providing academic leadership within the educational landscape. Sir Chancellor, by the conferment of the degree on Her Excellency Ambassador Arikana Chihombori Kwao, she becomes an alumna of the University of Cape Coast. Other past honorary recipients from our university include His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic of Ghana. His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor, former President of the Republic of Ghana. Professor Emmanuel Addo-Obin, former Vice Chancellor of our dear university. Professor J. Nana Opoku-Agyeman, former Vice Chancellor of our university and former Minister of Education. Professor Kwesi Botwe, former Minister of Finance, Professor Patrick Loach, Etienne Lumumba, Professor Akila Pasoya, former Vice Chancellor, University of Ghana, His Excellency Benjamin William Parker, former President of Tanzania, His Excellency Thabo Mbeki, former President of South Africa, His Grace, the Most Reverend Peter Kwesi Sarpong, among others. Sir Chancellor, on assuming office as Vice Chancellor of this great university, my vision has been to empower UCC graduates to have entrepreneurial competencies in line with the government policy initiative on National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program intended to reduce graduate unemployment and promote job creation. By the establishment of the Design Thinking and Innovation Hub, D-Hub, many students have been trained and many others are being trained to have entrepreneurial knowledge and skills. Sir Chancellor, in May 2021, at a similar ceremony, I pledged our determination to complete outstanding projects to enhance conducive academic environment. I'm happy to report that we have completed some of the projects, others are ongoing and near completion. Sir Chancellor, we are going through the process of acquiring premise accreditation to run programs at Nkrumah and Dominance Study Centers, which were completed in 2022 and 2024, respectively. The best news is always reserved for the last. Sir Chancellor, it is noteworthy to inform the August gathering that on Wednesday, 27th September 2023, the Times Higher Education released the 20th edition of the World University Rankings, which constituted the 2024 World University Ranking results. The Times Higher Education World University Ranking is the most prestigious global university rankings among all others. Sir Chancellor, I'm delighted to inform you that the 2024 World Universities Ranking had data submission from 2,673 institutions across 108 countries, out of which 1,904 universities qualified to be ranked. The University of Cape Coast has retained its position as the topmost ranked university in Ghana and West Africa, and the 7th on the African continent. The University of Cape Coast is also the only university in Ghana and West Africa that is in the top ranked universities in Africa. UCC has also maintained its position as one of the leading research-intensive universities globally. Lessons learned from this lecture. Sir Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, this 14th Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lecture under the theme Imperialism, Colonialism, and Neocolonialism, the three axes of evil for Africa, is timely reminder of the challenges we face and the resilience required to overcome them. Dr. Nkrumah's tireless struggle against the forces of imperialism and his unwavering pursuit of African unity laid a foundation for the independence of our continent and the establishment of the African Union. His vision was not just for political freedom, but also for economic independence, cultural dignity, and intellectual sovereignty. As we reflect on these ideals, it becomes imperative to draw parallels between the challenges Nkrumah faced and the contemporary issues that threaten the autonomy of our institutions today. Recent events at the most institutions have brought to the fore the very real dangers of external interferences in our academic institutions. An interference that threatens the independence, integrity, and progress of our institutions. Dr. Nkrumah taught us that the independence of our institutions, be they political, economic, or educational, must be vigilantly protected. He warned us against the serious and immediate danger of neo-colonialism, where external forces exert control through indirect means, often corrupting our own leaders to serve their interests rather than collective good. Today, as we strive to build our institutions that are not only beacon of academic excellence, but also a stronghold of independent thought and action, we must heed to this warning. We must resist any attempt to divide our institutions and undermine the progress we have made so far as topmost ranked university. Together, let us rise to protect the unprecedented infrastructural growth, the promotion of our human resources, and the elevation of our academic standards and global ranking. We must ensure that our institutions are governed by their status, guided by their missions, and dedicated to the service of our nation and the continent. Let us draw the strength from our founders' legacy and remain steadfast in our commitment to the independence and integrity of our institutions. Let us reject all forms of interferences and ensure that our actions are guided by the principles of justice, fairness, and the collective good. Together, we can continue to build our institutions that not only honors the memory of our great leaders, but also fulfill its role in shaping the future of our nation and continent. Sir Chancellor, I wish to use this opportunity to let the university community know that there is unity in diversity. Recognizing this, all of us should find common grounds and put behind us our differences and forge ahead in unity. As Vice Chancellor, I stand for unity and progress of our university. In conclusion, Sir Chancellor, permit me to congratulate the Honoree once again for this feat she has attained. Long live Ghana, long live UCC. God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Johnson Yakubu, Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast. Pretty shortly, the conferment of the honorary degree will be done. Ahead of that, I would invite the Department of Music to give us another interlude. for the Department of Music. So this is the time, the conferment of the honorary degree on Her Excellency, Ambassador Arikana Chihombori Kwao. I'll kindly invite her to rise as I read her citation. Your Excellency, I would ask that you kindly rise as I read the citation. Her Excellency, Ambassador Arikana Chihombori Kwao, MD, FAAFP, you are a diplomat, Pan-Africanist, physician, author, public speaker, educator, entrepreneur, progressive activist, promoter of diasporan dialogue, visionary, philanthropist, distinguished leader, role model, and exemplary leader. You were born and raised in Zimbabwe, where you completed your primary and secondary education. You later moved to the United States to pursue higher education. You earned a bachelor's degree in general chemistry, a master's degree in organic chemistry, and a doctor of medicine degree. As a fellow of the American Academy of Family Physicians and a member of the American Association of Family Physicians, as well as the Tennessee Association of Family Physicians, you have distinguished yourself in the medical profession. You are also the founder and president of the African Diaspora Development Institute, ADDI, a non-profit organization established in March 2020 to represent the African diaspora. With over 25 years of medical practice, you founded and owned several medical clinics in the United States, including the Bell Family Medical Centers. From 1996 to 2012, you served as a medical doctor at Med10 Medical Associates and the Smyrna Ambulance Service. Among your many achievements, you are also a prolific and published author, with your book Africa 101, The Wake-Up Call, being a bestseller on Amazon to your credit. In your role as permanent representative to the African Union Mission in Washington, D.C., from 2016 to 2019, you worked tirelessly to develop and maintain relationships between the African Union and the executive and legislative branches of the U.S. government, the African Diplomatic Corps, the African Diaspora, and the Bretton Woods institutions. This role was instrumental in advancing the African Continental Free Trade Area and the priority areas of Agenda 2063. Your efforts in mobilizing the diaspora as a unified people of African descent, rather than as citizens of individual African countries, are unprecedented. You exemplify leadership and the ability to unite people around a common goal, promoting the vision of one Africa, one continent. Key roles you have played include permanent representative of the African Union to the United States from December 2016 to October 7, 2019, chair of the African Union African Diaspora Health Initiative, AUADHI, from 2012 to 2016, international chair of the African Union Diaspora African Forum Americas, AUDAF, since 2010. As chair of AUDAF and AUADHI, you have advocated for the participation of Africans and Friends of Africa in the continent's development and have mobilized African diaspora health professionals to assist with African health crisis. Before your appointment as AU ambassador, your contributions to Africa's cause had already earned you numerous prestigious honors and awards, including the 1996 Achievement Award from the late President Nelson Mandela of South Africa, presented alongside the iconic liberation leader, President Mugabe of Zimbabwe. The African Woman of Excellence Award during the 2015 AU Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa, where you shared the stage with other prominent African women, including former Presidents Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia, Joyce Banda of Malawi, and Mama Winnie Mandela of South Africa. You have received over 100 awards and accolades from various organizations across the African diaspora, including the 2018 Ambassador of the Year Award from Howard University in Washington, D.C. Your contributions have also been recognized by members of Congress, governors, mayors, and county executives across the United States, the Caribbean, and South America. Your noble contributions to Africa's development have been acknowledged on the continent as well, as evidenced by the following accolades. You were named 2019 Person of the Year by the Guardian newspaper of Nigeria, listed fourth among the 10 most influential Africans of 2019 by iGambia, being the only female on the list. Featured as one of the 100 most reputable Africans in 2020 by Reputation Poll, a leading global reputation management firm. Honored as one of the top 100 influential global voices by Leaders Without Borders Development Center in 2024. Inducted into the 2024 Millennium Business Hall of Fame and received the Global Citizen Award from the Young, Gifted, and Black Foundation. Awarded an honorary degree of Doctor of Science, honorary Coursa, by Ahmadu Bello University of Zaria in Nigeria. You were listed in the 2020 second publication of 100 Most Influential African Women by Advance Media. As part of your philanthropic activities, you initiated and launched the Wakanda One Village project aimed at engaging Africans in the diaspora. Indefatigable African woman of substance, your works and deeds embody the ethos of the African dialogue. During your tenure as AU Permanent Representative to the United States, you brought new energy to the mission, tirelessly mobilizing people of African descent for a common cause. Your Excellency, the University of Cape Coast salutes you for your meritorious and distinguished service to humanity and the African continent. Your initiatives to unify people of African descent, establish health facilities, advocate the African narrative, and contribute significantly to health, education, and entrepreneurship are commendable. Advocate of Pan-African ideals, diplomat, physician, author, public speaker, educator, entrepreneur, progressive activist, promoter of diasporan dialogue, visionary leader, philanthropist, distinguished and exemplary leader, role model, stateswoman, and indefatigable African woman of substance. Please step forward to receive your degree of Doctor of Letters, honorary Coursa. Okay.
Imini osempenyin. Seda mezamanza kasachraw. Na se owon so de waso tema. On chrede minimbribi arama. Musar. Minyini. Na mimbiri. Mbom ndindani yara. Na oma osa. Oda ne fafranta. Imini osempenyin. Seda meteda nkrofo rekasa. Metadin. Yekom. Na mitei. Imi minti yen akoyede akokwabir. Se kansa minim adichimpa. Muchanebre papa ofata. Imi nyi osempenyin. Shembra brabo ejam atumnyi akasa akasa. Mushe akokwanyin nam bwane. Te no ntuntun na ne kamfunti. Oma mokwane ma akokwabir mokwane. Brenu asu na bia nanyi ha. Imi nyi osempenyin. Medane meja ahimfie. Asumafo asusuma kwarinya abodwenzen. Isa sunti. Woma mokwane mamfe nyizo tempenyin. Mampenyin. Ndi edinche banudinyi a oda ogwa sukuponi ano obemfo nwanwaso sam esone Jonah nyene mpenyinfo nyinara na nanu ahimfa womgom hom ha tiado etitirinyi abrana hom abompem do wa ha mama won aha se meja rechira onam da meyo himba nanso mechihyem ho nanso won kwatirim wo dwumadi biare mun se meja de wajina hinwa na meso ohine nana humjem ahinwe. Her Excellency Ambassador Erika Nachi Hombori kwao oba tampa yemiefu a owo ogwa sukupon ni Africa men nyinara yedi dawa komapando. Erika Nachi Hombori kwao owo iye African kunimdinyi a nimdi egwaro onam wusuehun na wo peperi yenti da ikasetie Berlin conference fa inchichem besa wodi ba ebibi man Ghana him. Your Excellency onam wu ye dinti da ibochidom fa etitiri a wodi kan fa won akoma de won kwato wo period di ma ebibiri man nyimpa yada osayeyi wo afi apim ahankron ni eduokron esia mekire in 1996 mun omampanyin Nelson Mandela bo wa bawdo wo afi apim ebien ni desia dikesi afi apim ebien ni duakron mun mekire from 2016 to 2019 mun ibeye ebibiri man mun nyina na musinyi wo America abrochirimanim ampa. Yes, imperialism's brute force took land and gold. Colonialism's chains young minds to mold. Neo-colonialism's subtle grasp a modern snare, keeping Africa in bondage without a care. But still we rise, and Nkrumah's dreams lives on. A united Africa where all are strong, prosperous and free, a future in a sight, where the evil of Africa lost their fight. Let us all rise and separate the chains, shatter the mold, forge a new path where Africa's stories will unfold of a continent united, strong and tall, realizing Nkrumah's vision for one and all. Her Excellency Erika Nachi Hombori kwao, a distinguished diplomat and a visionary leader, renowned for your tireless advocacy and unwavering dedication to the empowerment of the African nations and the communities worldwide. A woman of valor, a woman king. Her Excellency Erika Nachi Hombori kwao, may we hear your speech. Thank you.
thank you, and thank you. To the Chancellor, Dr. Honorable Sam Jonah, to the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Johnson, to the faculty, staff members, and of course, our children, to the majesties in the room, to the diplomatic corps, I receive this award on behalf of the world. As African women, we are acutely aware that this moment is a moment for the woman. Our men, I'm sorry to say, Chancellor, have failed us. Our men have sat in boardrooms for centuries. Our men have sat in leadership roles. They have engaged in negotiations that were detrimental to our development. They've engaged in decision-making processes that have taken Africa in the wrong direction. So to them, I say, as I receive this award on behalf of the brave black women around the world, men in Africa, if you cannot get this right in the positions that you currently hold, we ask you to move over. Gender parity is a must. We must take our position as women on the table. And to you women, I say, when the men will not give you a chair at the table, take the damn chair and create your seat. No more shall we allow men to look at us as second-class citizens. Absolutely no. We have a responsibility to our children. We have a responsibility even to them, the men sitting at the table making all the wrong decisions for Africa. We have a responsibility for them because we gave birth to them. So as mothers, we must remind the men in our lives that without us, they wouldn't be. So as such, we demand respect. We demand a seat at the table. Our youth are hurting. Our youth are suffering. Our youth are tired. They just want us to make the right decisions in those positions that we hold. Our youth deserve better. So to our youth, I say once again, if your leadership is misusing your natural resources, replace them. If your leadership is not representing you well at the world stage, replace them. If your Minister of Education is not recommending the proper reading materials in the educational system, replace him or her. At this university, Kwame Nkrumah books must be absolutely required reading. You must not graduate out of this university unless you have mastered Kwame Nkrumah's readings and Pan-Africanism. There's one more book, Chancellor, that I would like to request that it also be part of the curriculum at this university and hopefully all African universities. It's a book written by one former CIA agent, one who has done horrible things in his life, and he has made a decision that before he dies, he is going to share the truth and nothing but the truth. He has decided They say the CIA is in the room. Okay, we're back. This gentleman has decided he is going to speak the truth to power before he lies down in his grave. The book is titled Confessions of the Economic Hitman. I repeat, Confessions of the Economic Hitman. You all must download it if you don't like reading. It has a beautiful audio book. It narrates clearly how the destruction of Africa was done and how it continues to be done by the superpowers of this world. If our children are going to mount the revolution that I see happening now, if they're going to mobilize in a meaningful way, if they're going to create that meaningful unity of purpose, our children must be armed with knowledge. They must clearly define who the enemy is. For when you know who the enemy is, you can better strategize. That book, as I read it, I got angry. I wept. I looked around at some that I considered friends. You see, these agents from Europe, from all over the Western powers, they come in many colors. I must reiterate, the book will help you identify those wolves that are coming to you in sheep's clothing. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Her Excellency. At this point, I would invite Mr. Samuel Akutu. He is the president of the UCC Alumni Association, and he is going to help Her Excellency take the alumni oath. Let's welcome him.
Sir Chancellor, may I please stand on the protocols already established as I administer the alumni oath. Your Excellency, Ambassador Ericana, on behalf of the University of Cape Coast Alumni Association, I would like to congratulate you on a successful lecture and on your award. We are proud and honored to welcome you into the alumni fraternity. Indeed, we consider ourselves blessed to have you as one of us. Now, you have also earned the right to pride yourself for this achievement. You know why, Your Excellency? Because today, you have become an alumna of the #1 university in Ghana, the #1 in West Africa, and the #7 in the whole of Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, she deserves a round of applause. Please, let's take the alumni oath. So when I say I, you mention your name, and then we take it from there. I,
Arikana Chihombarikwa,
do solemnly pledge
to fulfill my duties.
Okay. So you say the one that I'm saying. So whatever I say, you say after me.
Wonderful.
Yes, so you mention your name. When I say do solemnly pledge, then you say the same thing, then you continue. All right, so we're starting over again. I mean, she's learning the culture. All right, so we take it again. I,
Arikana Chihombarikwa,
do solemnly pledge
do solemnly pledge
to fulfill my duties
to fulfill my duties
as an alumna of the University of Cape Coast.
as the alumni of the University of Cape Coast.
I pledge to use my knowledge,
I pledge to use my knowledge,
skills, and experiences
skills, and experiences
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
for the advancement of learning
for the advancement of learning
and for the well-being of my community and country.
and for the well-being of my community and country.
I promise to be a loyal ambassador
I promise to be a loyal ambassador
for my university
for my university
to promote her welfare
to promote her welfare
and maintain her reputation.
and maintain the reputation.
I will endeavor in all my dealings
I will endeavor in all my dealings
to be known as a person of honor and repute,
to be known as a person of honor and repute,
to bring respect to my alma mater.
to bring respect to my alma mater.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Your Excellency. Please tell the people of your country to bring their children to the University of Cape Coast to experience the best form of education Africa can offer. Thank you.
That I shall do. I would hope to see Americans come to the University of Cape Coast, Chancellor. I will definitely spread the word. Thank you.
We can applaud her better. So Her Excellency is going to take a photo with a few women here. Sir Chancellor, I'm directed to choose those who are going to take the photo. And I'm going to start with the Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast. Let's welcome Professor Rosemond Boahene. Nanamba Eyaba is the Krunte Hima of Ogwa. I'll call on the Dean of the School of Graduate Studies, Professor Sarah Dakwa. I'll call on the Director of Consular and General Services, Madam Graham. Kindly approach. I want females from the schools represented here, a lady from each school. I see Ghana National College. Can I have one student? A female. I see Agri Memorial. Can I have one female student? Approach. The other schools who are here, do we have the Metro Director of Education here too? Please come. How many more? The Metro Director. Yes, we have the Dean of the school, the Faculty of Law coming up. We also have the Director. So we have a few students coming. UPSS, one lady coming. Sir Chancellor, the last spot is mine, so I'll join. Thank you very much. We can applaud our ladies better whilst they take their seats. Let's kindly welcome the Chancellor as he dissolves this congregation.
Let me once again express my appreciation to our distinguished speaker, who is now an alumni, and indeed all of us for honoring our invitation to the 14th series of Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lecture and Special Congregation. It is now my pleasure to declare this assembly dissolved. I wish you all safe travels. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll call on Reverend Professor Kankam-Boadu to give us the closing prayer, after which we'll sing the UCC anthem. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Please let us stand. Indeed, Father, once again, we're grateful unto you. We did present ourselves for the beginning of this program. We have witnessed the 14th Memorial Lecture and the conferment of degree. We pray, O Lord, that this degree and the conferment, the lecture that we have listened, will inspire us as a nation and will inspire us as a university. We pray, O Lord, that your peace will be established on this campus. As you are about living, we ask that your presence may go with us. Now, let us go in peace with the blessings of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace this day, now, and forever. Amen. Thank you very much.